another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host, as always, Tina. How you doing, Tina?
I'm hanging in there, Rob. You caught me on a day that we don't normally do this, so I was running around, but I'm here.
Yeah, I had the day off today, and it went sideways, so I thought, hey, I'll give you a text and see if you wanted to record a little early. So, all good in the hood.
No problem there.
All good in the hood.
Yeah.
But, yeah, not much else besides that. Kind of doing our thing. I caught you off guard, so this was a show that I had on a list, from a long time ago. And I'm talking like early, like when we first started writing things down.
I didn't know this was a topic that we were going to discuss.
Yeah. It was number 92, but I'm sure that I came up with a lot of them in the very beginning. So
you totally did.
Yeah, we were just throwing things at the wall. So, it's interesting to kind of see, some of the things that I kind of wrote down. But I thought this one mostly today, because I think that there's some really good things about what we're going to talk about. And it's common use. We're going to talk about weed, or what you said, cannabis use.
Yes, cannabis.
So to be fair to this conversation, I looked up on the interwebs the downsides to weed. And this one says 5 benefits and 8 risks. So, we can go down the line. And I know at one point you were a supporter of the cannabis use.
I still am.
Okay, so there you go. So I have never ever smoked it ever. So
you should come over and we should do that together. Then
I'm probably I'm not gonna. Why start now? But to be fair, I have had the gummies.
Okay.
So, whatever that means. But I thought, look, there's a lot of people that use it. I did a access control system in a weed store in the San Fernando Valley, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah, right over on Reseda and Oxnard.
Okay.
It's a rather large facility as well.
It is.
So I was there for days and days and days. So I got to see kind of the how things work with cannabis store. This particular one was expanding at the time. It was interesting. When you walked in the door, you had to be let in by somebody. And then there was like it's like a doctor's office. There was literally a desk that had a girl that worked there, and she would check IDs. It was interesting. And then they would buzz you in to the room once you were allowed to go in.
That's exactly how they do it still.
Yeah. So, and this place was very interesting once you walked in. Since we had free reign of the place, we could just walk wherever we wanted. Mm-hmm. So we were walking. I walked into the showroom, I guess is the best way of putting it.
Where they put it on the shelves so that everybody can see what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a store.
It had this place had a plastic jar that had a magnifying glass on the top of it.
Yes. That's so that you could see the crystals and the
hairs
on it. Yeah, the hairs, everything. Mm-hmm.
And then it had an iPad right there with what it was and where it was grown and how and a bunch of other stuff. And then behind them, there was big 60-inch TVs that had rolling stuff that would show you new stuff or, advertisements on stuff. Mm-hmm. But they had all kinds of other things I had no idea, like infused gummy bears and pretzels and all kinds of crazy shit. And this was, over 5 years ago. So, so obviously the industry was popping off then too. This particular place, we asked around just for giggles. They said they got about 500 people a day.
Wow.
Yeah, give or take. Obviously,
that's some serious cash going through there.
Yeah.
And they only take cash.
They actually paid my boss in cash. In a brown paper sack.
Yep. That's how they roll money.
Yeah, it was odd. because like I remember going into her office and she had a bag of cash. Like it was crazy. But I thought it was very interesting to see the differences in who came in there. It was literally from 21 to 90. There was people walking in there with walkers and like, so it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, because I guess my infantile brain thought it was going to be just a bunch of stoner kids. Not. So
bunch of heshers.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I thought they were going to be a bunch of guys in Metallica t-shirts and
right.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is like they had security guards. They had signs everywhere that said you couldn't smoke pot in the parking lot.
Right. Yeah, because everybody wants to get high before they take off driving. Idiots.
Yeah. So, but it was interesting. I just thought it was like this interesting thing for someone who obviously isn't around it. Which was one of the other reasons they sent me there to do the job.
Yeah. Because you weren't going to be getting sidetracked.
Yeah, I didn't give two shits. Matter of fact, I don't care for the smell. So it was like irritating to be there for hours at a time.
Yeah.
I did see the business side of it. I remember walking into a room that was like two offices, but they had the wall in between taken out. So it was like maybe two 15 by 15 offices. So let's say 30 by 30 or 30 by 15, whatever it is. And and I'm not joking, there were 40 hefty bags full of weed. It was absurd. Like I was like, what the hell? Like, where am I at? So to be around it was kind of funny just for myself. So it was good for me because I didn't care. The guy they sent me there with was an old stoner, like he was like 60 years old and but he hadn't done it in years. So he even thought it was kind of funny. He's like, man, this would have been great 30 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I know that, look, to be fair, I know that there are, there's good things about it, mostly like CBD. So CBD is awesome. Right. That is basically an extract of the weed that has no THC in it.
Yes, but it does have medicinal purposes for sure.
Correct. I heard great for joint pain.
Yeah.
Like I heard the oils are just amazing. I have tried a gummy with just CBD and I thought it was cool, kind of mellowed you out, but not overly. I didn't feel high.
Right.
I just felt, I feel pretty chill.
No, so you only took one. You didn't take like 6 or 7.
No, I only took one. I'm big on what the container says.
So when we were in school, I was not into weed at all. I didn't really, I tried it when I was in my early 20s, liked it and thought, yeah, this is not what I should be doing. So I quit doing it. And then when I was 35, I was going through all the fertility treatments and they were making me like clinically depressed and anxious. And, when they mess with your hormones, it just really fucks you up. So anyway, I was suicidal at that point, and my ex came home and he had a bag of weed and he put it in front of me and he's like, I think you should try this. Like, you need it. So I started smoking it. He had already been a smoker. I started smoking it and realized it calmed the crazy down that I was going through because of the hormones. So I was able to wean myself off all of the depression medication and the anxiety, because technically they never should have given me that, because if you're not wired wrong, they shouldn't give you a medicine for people that are wired wrong. I didn't normally have depression or anxiety or like all the things that was going on with me. And so I was able to get off those, and then I just continued to smoke it. And it wasn't legal at the time that, this was all going on. Now everything's legal, but I've kind of been in it. I've done different things over the years and I'm kind of versed in it now. And as far as like consumption, I've tried anything from the vapes to the crackle and the honey and all the keef and then flour and pre-rolls. And the list of the gummies, the list is long. I've tried pretty much everything, but I stick to just the straight flour because it comes from the source. And I just think that why would you put chemicals in something that you that you're getting already to smoke without it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah. So I could tell you about the business part as well, or what it does to you, or what type is good.
Right. No, I mean,
yeah.
Which is all good. I've had some friends who worked in like did the clipping.
Mm-hmm. I've done that.
Yeah. So I've heard all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
And obviously, like it says on here, you can consume several different ways. Applying it topically, which I guess they have THC that you can actually apply topically as well.
Mm-hmm.
Eating, smoking, and vaping it. All right, so let's go over the medical benefits. And I think you've already hit kind of one on the head. It may help anxiety.
It totally helps anxiety.
Let's see. Cannabis smokers often report using the drug to relax and relieve emotional stress. Awesome. One study found that a low dose of THC helped lessen nerves ahead of public speaking. That actually makes kind of sense. Let's see. Yeah,
It'll also make you like, I don't know if I would publicly speak right after smoking it though. I'd give it a good 15. Because the first 15 minutes it feels like your body is getting high, like you're going to a different level. And if you're in the middle of talking, that could make you super anxious.
Yeah, I'm assuming that when they talk about that it's probably way beforehand to mellow you out way before. So like by the time you go on a stage, that do it 30 or 40 minutes before. So you're just kind of sailing.
But if I do it before, like if I was to do it before and then be on the podcast, I would be cracking you up because the dumbest things come out of my mouth too. So I would be worried about public speaking, but go ahead. That's just me.
No, I know that it people handle it all different ways because I've seen people, that I've seen people get high and it not do anything, or at least they don't show
outwardly.
It. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Number 2, which I know is another one that is quite common, is it can relieve chronic pain.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, for fuck's sake, that in itself, I think, is huge.
I get bad backaches from like standing and stuff. And it's also, I think, touching people, there's an energy shift that occurs. And if everybody's really down, or if there's like more of a real serious day, I notice that the pain will hurt. It'll hurt more. But if I go home and I smoke, it kind of loosens up a little. Not that it completely goes away, but it kind of loosens me up.
Well, what do you know? Cannabis might calm pain and stiff, tight muscles in people with MS as well. So I guess it says the condition affects the brain and the spinal cord, which kind of makes sense because that's where all your information highway is. Research also found that people often use strains of medical marijuana with THC to ease nausea and vomiting due to chemotherapy.
That's also when my stomach's kind of sick in the morning or whatever. If I were to smoke, I could be able to eat breakfast and everything would be okay. Where if I don't smoke, when I'm feeling kind of like that, I'm not okay. It's really good for stomach problems.
Right. And look, I guess with anything, if it's calming your body, it's probably going to help a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
This one I've heard by many, many, many people, and I've seen research and video. It helps with epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
It's said to reduce seizures by 39% in children. So that's, 39% is a lot to me. I mean, it's not like they're going, hey, if you use it, 3% of the people it helps. It's like, 39% is a lot. And if you have a child, if you have a child or you're a person that has anxiety, epilepsy issues or seizures, like, why would you not? I mean, I would test the theory.
I don't know if I'd want to give it to my kid, though. Now, see, here's where you're like, why not use it? And I'm like, I don't know if that would be a good thing because all your neurotransmitters in your brain aren't developed yet.
No, but they're going to give them some kind of pill anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? Like, I kind of go down the route of you as like, okay, at least it's the most natural side of it.
Yes.
Like I'm
with you on that.
So look, I'm not up for giving children anything if you don't have to. Shit, our frontal cortex doesn't really develop until you're 25. So you probably shouldn't be getting high until you're 25.
That's what I tell everybody.
You know, I mean, truly.
Let your brain develop first, then you screw it up. Don't get it. Don't screw it up before it's even, done.
Yeah. It's like drinking. Don't drink until later. Then your liver's great and you can drink until you die.
Yeah. I'm with you on that too.
Yeah.
Although I still don't drink.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't start until way later and I still don't drink that often. And even with gummies, my kid brought some home he went and had to pick up some medicine for somebody. And there was a dealer there that was, helping with that kind of, I guess,
a dealer, or are you talking about somebody who's in the medical?
It was a facility right next to like the hospital, but it was like, because I guess they do a lot of cancers out of this.
Gotcha.
This hospital in Palm Springs in the desert. So there was like a facility in the same parking lot that was like very big on like, hey, we're here to help because we know you're coming from the doctor. Like literally, that's what they told my kid. And he brought home some 5 milligram and some 10 milligram ones.
Okay.
I've tried both. The 10 milligram one I did on a Friday night, and I was already tired, and I felt like it really, really hit me. Like I was like kind of tripping balls, like not like super crazy, but I felt different, like physically felt different. And it could have been just my brain messing with me.
Do you know if it was an indica or a sativa? Because that'll make a difference too.
I would have to look. I'd have to ask. I'd have to look on the little bottle.
Because there's 2 different types of, well, actually 3. There's sativas, there's the hybrids, and then there's indicas. And indicas are a really heavy high. They do make me go to sleep. But I like to smoke sativas because sativas will relax you and get you like in a good headspace, but it doesn't knock you out. So normally what I do is I craft or I make my baskets or something. That's when I would smoke it because it puts me in a good headspace. I get to spend time with the people that I'm doing it with, and I'm just in a good place. It's good for being creative.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I did that only the one time. So I can't tell you how a 10 would be if I did it like
in the morning,
earlier or just like earlier in the evening, like when I got home after dinner, like 5 o'clock. And I took it like 7:30. And like I said, I had already worked a long ass day. So, but I have taken 5 milligrams since then. And I thought that just made me very chill and go to sleep. But I did it on a weekday. They both made you
go to sleep.
they both. But this one, like, I didn't feel. I can't even tell you how I felt on the 10. I felt like
high. You felt high.
Yeah, but I don't know because I've never been high. So you know what I mean? Like, I felt sparkly. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like that's the only way I could put it. On the 5 milligram didn't make me feel like that at all. It just made me feel like, kind of almost like the THC, the CBD. And I did the CBD years ago with my friend in North Carolina when she lived in California. So, and then I didn't do a THC one until a few months ago with my kid.
Those were just CBD ones?
No. The ones that we did the ones that I did with my friend in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Were just CBD.
Okay.
Which were like chill, but that was years ago. And then the ones I did this year with my friend down the street and her son and my kid were THC. Now, here's the funny part. they gave us the double whammy. So me and her had already had a couple of drinks. So we were like chilling and we were talking about it because I was like, oh, I've never done it. And my kid goes, well, we'll go get some right now. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, we'll just go get some right now. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So then they brought some back and gave them to us and told us they were 5s, but they were actually 10s. So they doped us, which was quite humorous. And I felt like pretty good. Like I was high. I was happy. I was like giggling. Me and her ended up in the kitchen eating out of a half-gallon ice cream with big spoons.
Oh, that's common. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was funny because like, here we both are. We go to the gym all the time. And we're like, I'm giggling, like looking at her going, we're eating out of the fucking ice cream. Like we didn't even put it in a bowl. It was really funny. So, I can't say I've had like a super experience because I've only done it maybe 3 times total, maybe 4. I don't recall, but maybe 3. So I thought it was kind of interesting. Here's one that should be quite obvious. They're safer than opioids.
No, you don't say.
Yeah. I have a feeling that some of these good things and some of the bad things are going to be like common sense. But I think what we were talking about earlier is, for one, they give you cannabis to help you recover from opioid problems.
What's funny though is it's still like one of the worst drugs though. Legally, it's the same as if you had heroin.
You mean opioids?
No. Weed.
I mean, I know that there's some issues, and I think that those are going to come up in the bad parts. So, but I do, it says one study noted 1,826 fewer daily doses of painkillers prescribed each year on average in states where medical use of cannabis was legal. I mean, 2,000 doses. Not that it's a lot because of the millions of people who take drugs. But I mean, even that it's just going to show you that someone's looking outside the box, right? The pharmaceutical business, trust me, if they could run weed, they'll do that as well. It's just a matter of when. You know what I mean? Once they federally legalize marijuana in the United States, the pharmaceutical business, unfortunately, will take over.
Think so?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I heard that there's land in the South where they would generally plant tobacco. So it's owned by the cigarette companies, are waiting so they can plant weed. Yeah, they're just waiting. It's a matter of when. So yeah, I think, because here's the thing. Once the feds take it over, all these weed stores are now going to be under the jurisdiction of a federal thing, that they have to abide by. So the weed's going to have to at least do something this. It's going to all be that. And it's going to be, so there's going to be none of this like crazy weed anymore. It's going to be, hey, go in and get weed because it's going to be federally regulated. I think it's a bad thing.
I don't know that the feds will want to take it over, to be honest with you, because there's so much weed out there and everybody's growing it and everybody could do it that I don't know if it would be lucrative for them.
I think it will be, because here's the thing. They'll be able to, the credit card companies will make money off of it because they'll make 3%. There's money to be made on all the sides. And if it's regulated, they'll just shut stores down that aren't listening to them.
Right.
It's like alcohol. That's why alcohol has to be a certain, percentage. It can't be over a certain percentage. If you do this, then it becomes moonshine and it becomes illegal. And then it's right back to square one. So I think it could be good and bad. I think it'll be better because everyone can get it. And if instead of weed being illegal in Nevada, when it's legal in the state next to it, it just makes things difficult.
Yeah.
We're going to see it in our lifetime, Dean, for sure. I would say maybe even in the next 4 years, because I had heard that the Trump administration was already doing research on making it legal countrywide. So yeah, there's money to be made. Look, all these people, just imagine, look at all the cash that goes through these things. Now you'll be able to walk in with a credit card, boop, and or your debit card and take it right out of your account.
I think if it goes that route, I'll just grow it in the backyard.
But see, here it's going to go back to, you can only grow so much. And then if you grow over 4 plants, they're going to arrest you because it'll still be regulated.
Right.
So they'll get their shit. That's, again, I hope that it doesn't go that route, because I think it's going to just throw disarray into a lot of things. And once the feds and the pharmaceutical get a hold of it, and then it's either going to become weaker and not work, or, you know what I mean? Like, you'll have to buy 5 times the amount to get high, something, to that nature. Because I mean, again, I don't smoke it, but I heard that there's stuff in some of these stores that'll just blitz you sideways.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and if that all goes to, it's regulated and it can't get you past this, and then once it's federally regulated, there's going to have to be laws about driving under the influence with it. There's going to have to be a test that you can do on the side of a road. And just imagine the DUIs that are going to go up. They're going to make tons of money on DUIs.
I think the DUIs are up already because of it, for sure.
I agree. But just imagine where they can take a test on the side of the road, because they'll come up with something, and the DUI, and then now you're going to have a DUI, and you're going to need a lawyer, and you're going to go to prison, and you're going to have to pay fines, and the state's going to make money that way. There's a lot of horrible shit that I think could come from it, but but then there's the next thing. It may have anti-cancer effects. So, fuck, we're saying all this crazy shit, and they're like, might help cancer, which is like the 3rd killer in this country.
It definitely helps them to be able to eat. It definitely helps them for pain. It definitely calms their stomach. There's for cancer victims, it's so important to be able to have it.
Yeah, and it's saying now with studies may destroy, excuse me, or slow the growth of certain cancer cells. So it could slow tumor growth. So, in certain, at least in a petri dish. But I mean, what's going to happen with that? It's like, holy shit. Now you have something that's, even if it's not stopping cancer, it's slowing it down. So then, then the cancer drugs and chemo can keep you alive. Pretty cool. All right. This one we talked about in a sentence earlier, but I thought it was kind of good. Helps reduce the side effects of chemotherapy. Obviously, when you go through chemo, it does a lot to lack of appetite, pain, which both of these
just makes you very sick.
Yeah, it helps alleviate nausea and vomiting, which also chemo does to you. Helps with the risks of dehydration. So all these things obviously are really good. And I think just on the other side of for someone like me, where I don't think I have high anxiety, but I do believe that it's definitely a great reducer of stress, and at least mellowing you out to the point of, not drinking, which we know is horrible for your liver, etc.
Yeah. I have a lot going on. Like, our house is still in disarray from being, the construction. So there's no living room, no kitchen. Found out my dad has colon cancer. So we're going to be dealing with him going and having a surgery, and then having to rehab here without a kitchen or a living room.
Right.
And, I'm trying to work and do my own thing and have my own life. And there's a lot. And I know that when I come home from work and I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't sit still. My hands are tapping. My leg is shaking. There's just so much to think about. Right. So when I think about it, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go smoke a little. And I smoke a little. And next thing you know, I'm back to like enjoying life and okay, we'll get through it. We got this. It's like, it clears the negativity out of my brain a little bit, so that I can like just think about what I got to do next, instead of worry about every last thing there is to worry about.
Kind of brings you back to center.
Yeah. It just takes that edge off that will drive me crazy.
So here's the flip side. They're going to give the bad parts now. In some strains, it says it may aggravate anxiety, make you panic. And some of the things off of that are like anxiety, confused speech, decline in school or work performance, obviously, difficult thinking clearly, lack of motivation, lack of personal hygiene. Man, this is like stoner kids from a long time ago.
Yeah.
This one I've definitely heard: paranoia, spending more time alone than usual, and trouble sleeping. Now, I'm assuming that this is probably a very small percentage of people.
I shower every day. I brush my teeth all the time. I floss them all the time. There's no problems with hygiene here.
Right.
I go to work. I pay my bills. I'm a responsible member of my family and society. I don't know.
I have heard paranoia, but I think that's just maybe you just have
if you have a bad trip or something, or you got, you know what? A lot of times I notice that people will have paranoia as if they drink with it. Like
what do they call that? Crossfaded.
Crossfade.
Yeah. I've heard that can be really bad.
I don't do that just because I don't drink. I've never been a drinker. So it's funny when people are like, but you're a stoner. I'm like, but I don't drink. Like, yeah. I picked my poison. This one doesn't give me the extra calories unless I munch out, and I don't have a hangover. It hasn't affected my ability to be I was asking a friend today if I was lazy, because I was always told when I was younger that I was lazy. And I've asked several people actually, but the one I asked today looked at me like I was damn crazy and said, really? You don't sit down at all. Like, even if you do sit down, you're doing something with your hands, you're making something, you're creating something, you never sit still.
Right.
And you know what? I was like, well, so much for being a lazy stoner. I guess I'm not. And this is somebody that I don't think is lazy at all telling me, are you kidding? You're not even close to being lazy. So I feel like I'm doing all right.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the only thing that I've really heard out of any of those is paranoia. And I think that generally people who have, I think, like any kind of paranoia episode is probably because there's something going on in your life that's making you paranoid in the first place. Yeah. This just heightens it.
Or you're a kid that's like, or people that are not used to smoking it or ingesting it. What happens is when you first do it, you start to feel like a high. You start to feel you're going to a different plane, right? And that accelerated speed at which you're doing that will make people nervous or make them anxious, instead of them sitting back and going, this feels really good, I'm just going to sit here and enjoy it. They'll start to control it. And I always say when you get to the point where you're starting to feel weird, you need to drink some really cold water, because it'll bring your body back. You won't feel so anxious, because the shock of the cold water will force you to be in your head, in your body.
Right.
But I've seen people do that and they just lose their shit. And I'm like, it's just you getting high. Right. Relax. And then sometimes when you get like that, I have been like that, I'll smoke a little more, because you get off the plane that you were at that's driving you crazy. And if cold water doesn't work, I'll smoke some more. And that normally helps. But I find that when I do edibles, that's like harder to control. I used to make butter. I catered a whole party that was nothing but cannabis food. And I had made a cannabis butter, and then I put a little tiny bit on a piece of toast and I ate it. Well, I was high 11 hours later. And had to still call my cousin to come and pick me up and take me home, because I felt too freaking high. I couldn't get off the couch. I was laid out. I felt like I was sewed in and I wasn't going anywhere, and I didn't care. Like, I really didn't care. So I messed myself up on the stuff that I made. So you'd imagine this was the most boring party I'd ever been to, because everybody got high and went home. They were tired.
That's funny.
But then I've had edibles. My mom one time made these edible brownies and I ate one. And then I took my daughter I didn't know they were edibles until I was done eating it, by the way.
Oh, that's nice.
Then I took my daughter down the street to go to therapy, and we stopped at Taco Bell. So we ate our Taco Bell in front of the counselor's house, and because she worked out of her house. And then my daughter went in and I sat in the car. Well, all of a sudden I couldn't move. I couldn't sit up in the car seat, and I vomited all over myself. I literally vomited straight down my chest into the crotch of my pants, down to the floor of the car. And I knew exactly what I ate because, I just eaten Taco Bell.
What the hell, Mom?
I don't know, but I called my mom and I said, Mom, I don't know what's going on and I don't know where I am, but I need you to pick up my daughter at such and such time at counseling at this address. And I was able to tell her everything, right?
Wow.
I did not know where I was, and I woke up naked in my living room wrapped in a blanket. I don't know how I got from the counseling office to my home, but I know that when I threw up so violently that I peed my pants as well.
Wow.
So I took off all my clothes and left them on the front porch and then walked in. But I didn't know this until my daughter brought my clothes into the house. And I had just wrapped myself in a blanket.
Man.
So apparently my mom and I made some really strong things, but so edibles were never really my thing, but my cousin likes to take them. She's like, just take a 10 milligram and you'll see you'll have a good day. So I did that and way different experience. But again, when you're making stuff like hillbillies in your kitchen, you got to know that you're asking for whatever you get.
Yeah. I mean, it's the similar thing I would think is like moonshine, where it's like one wrong thing and it's fucking, 180 proof. So, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming like obviously the 10 milligram ones are controlled. It's only a certain amount of stuff that can really go through. So,
yeah, I wish they would have tested that better. That would have been interesting to know just how much was in it.
Oh, yeah. Me, that must have been bad. My goodness.
No, it was good.
I mean, good, but fuck 11 hours.
You could only have a drop of it.
Yeah, it's like, don't fry eggs in it. Oh man, that would have been awesome though.
It was good. I tried though.
So this one's kind of easy, and not too deep, but I think any drug poses risk of issues during pregnancy. I think that's with a lot of things.
Obviously, if you're pregnant, you shouldn't be doing any freaking thing at all, but taking care of yourself and being healthy.
Exactly. I don't care what it is. Shouldn't drink, shouldn't smoke, shouldn't take weed, shouldn't do any pills. I mean, that's pretty basic. The only thing it does say is it says THC may have a 2.3 times greater risk of stillbirths. Oh. But it said may. I mean, I'm sure, look, don't do anything. That one should be. Mm-hmm. This one's kind of interesting. It says that with some strains, it increases the risk of heart attack. Pretty interesting.
I don't know how, because it mellows me out completely.
Yeah, my heart's probably going.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Like it would probably slow it down a lot. One review noted a 10-fold increase in the THC content in cannabis over the past 10 years, which found an increase wide potential THC use. Yeah, it's just saying that they found it in people that had heart attacks or strokes. I think that could be either related or not. It says it could deal with an irregular heartbeat, an arrhythmia, which makes sense because but that could be with anxiety that's going through over it. Cardiac arrest, heart disease. So, but again, very small, I think. Here's the one that I think, more worried about than anything. It impairs driving, which is no different than drinking. Cannabis is among the most frequent illicit drugs in drivers' blood during vehicle crashes, including fatal ones.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, tests may detect cannabis in bodily fluids for days or weeks after use. Some people might combine cannabis with alcohol, which is probably 10 times worse than, one or the other.
It's not my favorite feeling.
I can't look. I think if you're going to make it legal federally, there has to be something that you can do on the side of the road. So the police can check.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like I've seen people smoking out in cars and then driving off. To say that you're not inebriated, you're fucking stupid. You are, period. So anything, that's why they tell you not to get on opiates when you're doing, you know what I mean? Like you're driving a vehicle that can kill people. Mm-hmm. So I just think that, and I hate people that go, it's legal. It's legal. Well, really, in the state of California,
legal doesn't mean that you get in the car and you drive with it, though. That's not legal. Truly,
if you look at the law in this state, you're not supposed to leave your house. You can only smoke it in your house. So when you see people outside smoking it down the street, it's actually illegal. Yeah. The law reads that you can do it for yourself in your place of living. So
interesting.
Yeah. So you're not supposed to be able to do it out and about. So when you see that, yeah, you can't.
But you're not allowed to smoke in places. So that doesn't make sense though.
Right. No, but I mean, if you were just walking down the street, it's illegal. They can actually get you for it. Now, are the police going to run you down for that? Probably not. Not these days. Much, much more things to do. But I would guess that if they wanted to shake your tree, they could.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's one for you. It can harm lungs, which, I mean, obviously, you know what I mean? Like, it's a smoke. You're putting something in your lungs that, it'll irritate your lungs, throat, and raise risk of severe lung problems such as asthma, bronchitis, and COPD. So, makes sense. That's why just eat it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I just find that easier since my mom smoked and I hated it. I've hated it since I was a child. And at the end of the day, it killed her. So anything in your lungs, although I don't think smoking did, but she had COPD. I'm sure it didn't help. And I just find eating it easier. It's so quick. Like, boop, it's like down the hatch, boy. And in a little while, you're good to go. So
I don't know. I kind of like smoking it, but I've noticed in time that it's made my voice a little deeper or a little scratchier.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It kind of does.
Like Barry White, baby. Yeah.
Was he a smoker?
Yeah. I mean, he might have been. I don't know. I think he's dead, but yeah, I think I get it. Anything to do with your lungs and your throat, it's going to put you at a risk. I mean, and it says it may. A lot of these are may. This is the one that you were talking about. Poses risks for adolescents.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes. I think that's.
I know a youngin that did it at I don't know, was it 14? And kind of spazzed out for a while, It was like they were taking her to doctors and trying to figure out what was wrong with her. And she was having anxiety and stuff. And I was like, how many times do I tell these children that they're not supposed to try anything until their brains are developed?
Yeah.
It kind of made, she had kind of a bad spell for a while because of it.
I mean, look at all the people that were in the alleys over by our junior highs and high schools. I mean, they were burnouts. Now, did they end up being like that? Probably not. But it definitely didn't help their school, their work performance or their school performance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, look, I mean, dude, I worked with somebody that would go to their car and get high all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, guess to each their own and whatever tickles your pickle. But for me, I just I can barely function at work sober. I couldn't imagine doing it another way, but that's just me.
Yeah. No, I don't have a job where I need to think that way. And if I were to get high, I've done my friend's hair in my garage high as a kite. And they said it was the best haircut I ever gave them. But, it's also,
wow.
It's also a different, it's not technical at all. What I do is not going to kill anybody. Nobody's going to die,
right.
from anything that could happen around me. But I don't know. I find that I say too much when I'm high. So I don't like to be high at work because people don't need to know me. I need to know them to do their hair. And that's,
right.
I try to keep it like that. Not that I'm not completely open with people. I am, but they don't need to know all the extra stuff that I wouldn't care came out if,
Right. Well, and that's kind of what, like, here's the thing with that. You're right. You can't kill nobody. You can just give shitty haircut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just mess up your head.
Yeah, and like it'll grow back. Yes, I think, but should you do it if you're, a heavy equipment operator?
No, you can't. They test you.
No, but you know what I mean? Like there's certain things where you're like, you shouldn't do it if you're like a scuba diver or like just things that you could like fuck you up. Mm-hmm. I understand. Like, look, there are other jobs that you could probably be high all day and do well at. Probably.
Yeah. Any sort of art, like if you're going to be
sales,
drawing stuff, sales, probably it'd probably make you more fun and
more talkative.
Maybe.
I bet you there was people. I'm going to age me. I worked for a place called The Good Guys way back in the day. It was like an electronics store, like Best Buy. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I always wondered about some dude because I was like naive. I was only like 21 years old and I didn't know much. Mm-hmm. I think that there was this one older dude. He was high all the time. Knowing what I know now, you know what I mean? Like he was always glossy eyed. He could talk he could talk to a fucking mop and make it buy something. Right. He was just really good. So he was probably high. And so, let's see, we're almost out of here. So let's see, there's one, it's called cannabinoid hypermesis syndrome, CHS. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm just going to go out on a limb, but look it up. It says causes clinical abdominal pain, nausea, and vomiting after cannabis. So it's probably something very small. It probably doesn't happen very often, but this could be a side effect and it's clinical. So once you do it, it's like forever. So not good. It says it's possible to use cannabis for years without having symptoms of CHS. But symptoms tend to stick around as long as you use the cannabis once you develop them. So once you have this shit, you kind of.
So enjoy it until you get it. No.
Yeah. Well, and then it says the only way to stop these issues is
just to not stop the weed. It.
Yeah. And then this one I find kind of silly, but I guess theoretically it's true. It may become a gateway drug.
I still don't believe that shit.
I don't either, but could it? Sure.
I don't think anything's a gateway to anything. You either have the predisposition and you're just going to go down the line and try what you're going to try, or you're not. You don't even have an addiction to, you don't get an addiction to marijuana. I go away to my friend's house in El Paso, 7 to 10 days. I don't smoke it at all. I may think about it once, like one night I'll be like, this would be a good night to have a joint, but I don't like, it's not like I'm fiending for it. It's not like I've got to have it. I don't trip out as I'm getting ready to get to the airport going, oh my God, I can't believe I'm not bringing weed to El Paso. Right. And you know better than to freaking smoke weed in Texas. You just don't do that.
Right.
Because that's stupid with their laws. So it's funny because I've been, back east and not had it. I've been to, Vegas, not have it. And I don't miss it, nor do I drink. Mm-hmm. And the only other type of drug I ever tried was mushrooms once. And all it did was make me sit on the toilet and like just whatever was in my body was an exorcism, and it came out. And that was, I didn't have any sort of visions or anything. Like they said it was going to be all kinds of fun. And that was the last time I did it. So gateway drug, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I don't believe it, but I can see where if someone does it and they have the disposition to try more stuff, they will. Be. But that's, I kind of believe what you're saying, like,
Right.
You know, because like, look at me, dude. I didn't do it for, I mean, the first time I took a THC, I was 53 years old.
Yeah. You need to get out more.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And fuck, I didn't drink till I was 38.
Right.
So my liver's probably really good.
It should be.
I can probably, and I don't even barely drink now. So like, I'm thinking my 60s, I'm just going to drink daily. See what happens.
You're stupid.
You know what I mean? Like, nah, what the hell?
You're like, I'm on the downward slope. It's okay now.
Like, what the hell? Like, and then what's it going to do? Kill me? Ha. I don't know.
Oh, good
But,
Lord.
look, I think the few times that I have dabbled with the CBD and the THC, I found it to be, coming from someone who isn't a user for a long period of time. I do believe that it has some kind of help to anxiety and calming you. It's definitely something that just kind of pumps the brakes. That's the best way I can put it. I guess, later on in another show, I'll tell you if I take a 10 when I'm not tired. I'll come back with an update on a next show. But I definitely think it helps. And then obviously I'm going to try to get some CBD oil and just like rub it in my knees, you know what I mean? To see if it helps with inflammation and that kind of thing. But I heard it helps there too.
So my family always put rubbing alcohol, or put a weed in rubbing alcohol. You leave it in your closet in a dark place for 3 months, and then you come back and the alcohol will have leached all the medicinal properties out of the cannabis, and then use that as a rub. And I have some of that if you want to try it.
That's some straight Indian shit right there, man.
It's totally Indian shit.
I'm sorry, native.
Yeah, we're feather, not dot.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
You guys wore the really cool necklaces.
Chokers.
Yes, well, necklaces.
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't call it a choker on a guy. I'd call it.
It's a choker even on a guy.
I know, but or the really cool armor. The front armor. That was pretty cool.
Yes.
Anyway, here's my thing. I've been wanting to do a show on this for quite a while. Obviously, it's probably been on that book for probably 2 years. And we're about to drop. This is episode 183.
Stop it.
I know we're getting closer to 200. Pretty cool.
Wow.
But anyway, I wanted to do this because I thought, since I can now talk about it, that I have at least done it. Yeah, I didn't want to come into a show like totally just a dumb shit. Like, hey, Tina, you get high. Tell us about it. At least I can,
Rob.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, at least I can say that I've done it. And I think it definitely has some good effects. I liked it for when I feel like I just need to sleep and I'm having problems sleeping. A 5 mil helped me out and off to sleep. So I would recommend. I definitely think that, if you
I would definitely recommend, if you're over the age of 25 and you've got your shit together, then give it a shot.
Yeah. And again, if you want to just dabble, I would go to a shop and get a very low dose of THC.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to jump in and take 2 10s, or you know what I mean? And like,
well, they even have like the range of THC that's actually in the flower. Like, I buy these pre-rolls that look like little tiny Capri cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
They're 18% THC.
Mm-hmm.
And that's friends that don't smoke. When they're with me and they want to smoke, I'll hand them one of those because I'm not trying to like kill anybody,
Right. Yeah.
So I'll start them, just giving them a real low whatever. And I think that's a good way to even start if you're going to do it. Like, you don't need to get anything that's going to blast you out into, the unknown. Putting all the extra stuff on it, the crackle, the vaping stuff where you really get into that. You don't need to do all that.
Right.
Just remember to be kind to yourself. You don't need to blow yourself out of water.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, don't fuck up your first high.
Yeah, don't make butter or brownies like my mom and I did and try to kill yourself with them.
Throw up on yourself?
Yeah, because I lost time.
Yeah, I was around someone who was crossfaded. So this is what happened. We were drinking. She took a 10 that she didn't know because she thought it was a 5. And then her son gave her a hit of weed. And she went into like La La
asking
Land.
For trouble.
No, it did. It fucked her up bad. Like bad.
I get it.
So, but thanks. I thought it was a good show. I think it's something that, would have been taboo fucking 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like we couldn't have talked about it. It would have been something that was so look, well, at least we're moving forward. And, to me, anything that's got less pills, less drugs that we have to get from some pharmaceutical company that's probably trying to kill us anyway. Mm-hmm. Or at least get us hooked enough that we keep buying it until we drop dead.
Seriously.
But any final words on the show that you know something about?
Yeah, finally, no. just remember, as always, you need to be responsible. Don't be a dumbass. Like, you can get high, have your moment, but don't be a dumbass. You still got to take care of life and everything that comes with it. And I always say, do that before you get high and try to forget everything.
Yeah, I can't even top that one. That's absolutely perfect. Check us out on all of them social medias. I've been hitting them up a lot more lately, and you should be seeing posts from me.
I do see them, Rob. Thank you so much.
I know. Now, if we could just get you to know how to share them, it would be awesome.
And I have not asked my niece yet. I haven't seen her. So.
We need you to do that because you need to share with the people out there so they can get to seeing the show. Because
I will.
The numbers show that somewhere we lost people that were probably your friends. Because I'm hitting them up all the time, and I'm if you haven't noticed, I'm doing them more than once a week. So when a show comes out on Wednesday, you get it Wednesday, Thursday, and then probably Saturday, Sunday, and then
really
Tuesday.
Need to start using my social media.
So,
okay.
And look, it's a opinion show, so don't get mad at us for saying crazy shit like, why are they talking about weed? So it's an opinion show. So keep coming back every Wednesday. Check us out on all the places you can find podcasts. We're on everything, and share this show because people are sharing for sure. We are showing up in states that generally don't listen to us, and for sure countries. There are people in Europe that are sharing this show because we've had lots of different countries.
That's pretty crazy.
Awesome. Yeah, and different cities in we had a bunch in Australia, and they're definitely popping up again. Lots of people in England. I'm very happy that there's some people in England and Ireland that are listening to the show. So,
wow.
Yes, ma'am. Cool. So we'll see you in a week for another exciting place and show. Until then, I'm Rob. That's Tina. See you later.
See ya.